Hi, this is Jessie and Caleb, and we are going to present about prototyping. Prototyping is part of a process for building a software. Prototype is the initial stage of the product. It gets evaluated by a smaller class of users before full development. Evaluating the product's prototype helps developers to find its errors and flaws before the product release. Most of the times, prototype is developed by key requirements. Prototyping has several different methods, such as storyboards, sketches, or paper interfaces. For example, storyboards can be used for early stage of development to visualize the product. By using storyboards, you can indirectly experience a problem. There are many benefits coming from using prototypes. When errors are detected later in the development process, it costs more and takes lots of time to fix the problem. But since prototype can detect flaws and errors in early development, it reduces time and cost to develop the product. Prototyping requires users' involvement and allow them to give feedback, which means users are able to interact with a prototype. This gives better results, a final product, than not getting any feedback from the users. Since it gives a chance for users to interact with the product development, users get to know lots of information about the product. Prototyping has many upsides, but it also has some downsides. Ironically, I put time on both upside and downside slide. So it reduces time if it works ideally, but it can take long time because the process of building prototype can take longer than it's planned. Prototype is supposed to be built quickly and thrown away. However, when developers get really excited and try to make a prototype really complex that is close to the final product, it gets messy. The prototype is thrown away and the developers need to build a final product, putting same amount of time to build a final product. So the development time will take twice more time than normal. Also, users can interact too much and delay the final product by debating the details of the prototypes. Developers and users can attach to a prototype and not try to give a dramatic change to the prototype. This can cause problem because in that case, they tend to release the final product even though the product doesn't fit the architecture properly. Users can be confused with a final product because they tend to think that the prototype is going to be a final product. And when they get the final product, they get confused. Users are used to features that were included in the prototype, and when they get the final product, some features are gone, or new features are inserted, which they are not used to working with it. So this can cause confusion.
And now for the recommendations. You want to make sure that when you are using the prototyping technique, you are able to keep your prototype unique. This is normally dependent on the programmers. This means that the user is unable to take the work that you have used and go off on their own, leaving you in the dust when the final product hasn't been finished and the job is incomplete. Normally, when you are using prototyping, you are constantly interacting with the user, keeping them updated on their project. That way, if the user wants to make a turn on the product, you can easily change the project with whatever the user needs. And because of the interaction, you are also constantly working with them and keeping them informed so that both sides are able to reach the end product together. And the last recommendation for using prototyping is when the project is small and there is minimal training needed for the user to operate this product. You don't want to create a massive Death Star just to find out that the prototype is not what the user wants, because creating a Death Star isn't cheap. So normally, you will see prototyping done on smaller projects, like web designs and simple projections. That means that there is a simple, small design that the user can use to follow along as their project is being created. Last but not least, how the prototyping technique is able to be used and applied to our class project. The first reason for recommending the class project for prototyping is because it is a small project. It is a simple app that is able to be modified based on what the user needs. And because the main users and clients of our app are programmers, it is easy for them to follow what we are doing. But this brings in the pros and the cons. We are able to interact so easily with our client and update them. However, it also means that since our clients are programmers, we need to make sure that our code is unique enough that it can't be stolen, and the client will leave the project because they would like to do it on their own. However, the final and main reason for recommending prototyping for the project is because as a class, it will be very easy to follow through each of the steps throughout the semester, giving us time to successfully come up with a good SRS that will be easy for the client to read and follow. If the SRS is not successful, we can simply go back and redo the steps as the prototyping model suggests, giving the user a final product they would like to use with little instruction because it's simple and easy enough that they will follow and understand. This has been the presentation for the prototyping technique. If you continue to the last slide, you will see the works cited to the top right. Thank you for listening to mine and Jessie's presentation for CS 364.